Well, hello friends. Welcome back to Browser Hacking. Today we are going to continue working on Discord support in our browser. It's something that I worked on earlier this year in February, but then I took a little break from it, and that break has now lasted for about 8 months. So I think it's high time we get back to it. So of course, a lot of things have happened since then. We now have the Ladybird browser, which makes it a lot easier to debug websites on Linux. And we'll be using that today. So we're really just going to pick up where we left off, which was trying to load, render, and use the Serenity OS Discord server invitation page, which is here. So as you can see, it still loads, sort of, but we crash. Okay. We crash because verification failed at style properties CPP line 611. 611. Okay, so that's a verify not reached in text decoration line. So I'm guessing that the site uses some value for CSS text decoration line that we don't support. It seems like if it is some value that we don't support, we should just return like an empty vector instead of bailing like this. But we can do something perhaps, a little bit nicer, which is to do some debug logging and then return an empty value here. So we'll say fix me unsupported value for text decoration line, and then we will actually dump out the value that was unsupported. So that seems like an easy fix to get started. Let's see how that fares. So text deco. Okay, so it's a var that we're choking on. That's kind of funny. Yeah, so that's probably something that should have been expanded by the style computer code. But regardless, this seems like a reasonable thing here. So I'm just gonna commit this as is so that we can make progress. And then, we can get back to this type of issue later, because it's definitely non-critical. So let's see, libweb, don't crash, don't panic on unsupported text decoration line values. Instead, just log a fix me and move on. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot nicer. As the engine matures, it's less and less reasonable to panic the engine when some like visual feature is missing in CSS, for example. Like that doesn't really make sense anymore. It may have made sense at some point, but like now, you kind of just want the engine to continue trying to display the content as best it can. So it definitely looks worse than last time we worked on it. So I guess today we are going to at least try to fix it up visually so it looks like it's supposed to. Let me see if I can open this in Firefox just for comparison here. Yeah, so this is what it should be. This is where we are. And we've been closer to this in the past. So most likely the site has changed in various ways, because websites always change these days. And not unlikely that we've also regressed somewhere. But let's just approach this from first principles and sort of try to figure out what's going on. So I guess we're going to make a reduction and try to at least get some, like, we want all the colors to be back because the content is there. It just seems to have the wrong background colors. And the little icons and emblems and stuff are missing. And there are some layout issues. There's all kinds of issues. Anyway, so let's do the good old save a copy of the page. And then I got that in my downloads. Cool. And then we will open that up. All right. And then let's see if we can whittle this down to something very small that still illustrates the issue. So what does it look like if we load that here? Identical. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do, since we know that the background layer works, I also know that the SVG rendering of the background here makes the site quite sluggish, and SVG is where it is, but I don't think we're going to work on SVG right now because it hasn't regressed since last we worked on it. So let's just get rid of the SVG so that we can at least make this a little bit snappier and easier to work with. So just get rid of, there we go. Yeah, so it looks like that instead. And a bunch of script tags and gunk that we don't need. Okay, so now what I'm doing now is just trying to remove a bunch of stuff from the markup here that seems like it's non-essential, so that we can get the smallest page possible that still has problems. So that was probably not safe. I have to leave that style sheet in, and that just nukes the image. That's okay, the logo. All right, so we're down to a style sheet, and then we have a DOM, and here are some standalone divs I bet we can get rid of. Okay, starting to look a bit more reasonable. And let's save it at this point, just D1. And then we'll see if that loads here. Okay, so it looks like this, whereas if we load D1 in Firefox, still looks like this, yeah. So I think so far this is a good reduction. You know, we've eliminated a bunch of stuff, but we still don't see the right colors. Oops, so let's just continue reducing. So one thing I like to try to do, especially with websites that are generated by frameworks upon frameworks, like many are these days, I like to try to get rid of a bunch of these wrapper divs that you often see here. So when you hover them, you can see that they're sort of occupying the entire page. So maybe we can find this one here, seems to be fine, and I'll just, oh wait, I can't do that. I wanted to move that up into body. Yeah, there we go. Drag and drop. Okay, and then get rid of, oh wait, I got rid of the wrong one. There we go. Yeah, I'm like using the Chromium developer tools and the Firefox developer tools, and they have a lot of the same functionality, but it works kind of different in subtle ways. So in Firefox you can drag and drop stuff, and in Chromium dev tools you can cut and paste. So just a little bit of that confusion there. Okay, and then let's just do a safety save here, reload here, still looking colorless. That's good. And maybe we can actually, let's see, can we like nuke that thing maybe? And maybe we can nuke a bunch of this stuff so that there's only like the username text. We don't really need more than that. Maybe put that there, delete this gunk. Okay, maybe that was too much. Okay, well now I've messed it up in interesting ways. So I'm using undo here in the Firefox DevTools, and it's not really undoing it correctly because username wasn't here before, but now it's there. So it seems like the undo mechanism in the Firefox DevTools is a bit broken. But that's not what we're here to solve today. So, oh shoot. Okay, well, you're there now. So I guess I will use something else then. I just want to get rid of a bunch of gunk. Okay. Okay, how about this? D2. Let's see how this fares. Okay. Yeah, so now we're getting down to a very nice and small thing here. And maybe we can even do the final touch-ups in Vim instead. We don't have to mess about in the DevTools, because the DevTools are like the DevTools approach for creating site reductions is very nice when the site is big and complex. But like once you get it down to, a couple of divs, then I find it's easier almost to work in Vim. Although not in the current state because it's actually unprettified. So let's just prettify it. But once it's prettified, then it tends to be easier to work in Vim because you can just move the things around with greater flexibility. Okay, 11 seconds to prettify. That's not a good sign. 1700 lines. Okay, and the CSS didn't actually get pretty printed even. Okay, come on, prettier. I thought you could handle stuff like that. Okay, so let's just test that it still loads. It does. Okay, now to reduce further, we will just try to remove outer things here. Still good. Okay, maybe that was too much to ask. Still good. Okay. So now we're down to something pretty simple. This probably doesn't need to be a form. Just to simplify, I'll make it a div, see if that still works. Yeah, take form out of the equation. Okay, and then do we need both of these? So do we need authbox? I guess we did. Do we need theme dark? I guess we did. Or wait, let me just double check that. Yes, we do need theme dark. And do we need this thing? Contents, whatever. We don't need that thing. Okay, so this can just look like that. In fact, it doesn't need to be a div at all, maybe? Okay, now this is a nice markup reduction. Of course, if you look at the line count, you can see that we're still still pretty chonky on CSS here, which we're going to have to do something about. But we know that there are only two classes that we care about. So we need to extract the authbox and theme dark classes. Theme dark. Also, I wish that I could run prettier and it would just fix up the CSS like it normally does. I don't know what's going on with prettier. Like, it seems to me that sometimes if there's too much CSS, then it just gives up and doesn't try to prettify it, which is, unfortunate. So did that help? It did not. Okay, so here is the trick that I usually use, which is to just try to delete a bunch of the CSS so that prettier doesn't have to deal with it. So I just try to get rid of a bunch of lines. Okay, I may have gone too far with that. Let's see. So 200 lines, not those 200 lines. Okay. Those 200 we could do without. Delete another 200. How about another 400? Still good. Yeah, there's probably some command line tool for this that somebody is typing a comment right now, like, oh, just use this command line tool that will do this for you. So I've looked at some command line tools that people were suggesting for this type of stuff, and so far, none of the suggestions actually work when you have a file that has both HTML and CSS. The tools that I've seen require that you have separated HTML and CSS files, but typically I typically work with like a single HTML file that has embedded CSS. That's what you often end up with when you're debugging stuff like this. So it needs to be able to handle cases like that. Okay, so we're down to 228 lines. We can probably do even better, of course. Okay, this is not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's honest work. Okay. Okay. Oops. Oh, we're getting there. Down to 48 lines. Okay, so probably at this point, I would expect it to be possible to actually to run prettier, because now we're at 39 lines. So let me try to run prettier on it. Finishes much faster, that's a good sign. Yeah, so now it actually broke up all the CSS into lines, and we have 6,000 something lines. Fantastic. So let's try to delete 2,000 lines here, see what happens. Still works. Another 2,000. That broke it. Okay. We'll get there. Okay, that was too far. Okay, theme light. Oh, here comes theme dark. Okay, so I know theme dark is in there, and it's a whole bunch of CSS variables. Cool. So I can already guess that this is going to be related to CSS variables, because I know that we definitely have shortcomings in that department. So what comes after theme dark? Other stuff, theme light. Okay, that was too much. Okay, Japanese specific stuff does not affect us. Okay. Well, it's changing, but this still seems like it will be okay as a test. Okay, that was too far. Oh, authbox, right. No. Theme dark authbox. Oh, there we are. Okay, so we got to keep that. Oops. Okay, there we go. Okay, and do we need this pseudo element? Probably not. Background mobile primary. Okay, so we need that particular variable. Authbox. Wait, is that all there is to it? Okay, just gonna simplify, get rid of some stuff. Okay. So authbox and theme dark classes are right here. Cool. Then let's get rid of stuff that we don't care about, like box shadows, border radius, box sizing, font size, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, still. Okay. So this is starting to look debuggable. So we have a background CSS variable and we have a color CSS variable. So now let's just go find these fellas. So background mobile primary. Right here. So I'm going to yoink that and put it down here instead. And let's do the same for text muted. Because once we do that, we can actually yeet all of this stuff from line 2 and forward. So there we go. Okay, starting to get there. Okay, so we'll rename this one to foreground, or just FG and BG, why don't we? Okay. And then I'm gonna line break these. Okay. All right, so what are we dealing with here? Width, probably not necessary. Oh, maybe that was necessary. And color FG, BG. Okay. Okay. So what's going on here? We have the back. Okay, so let's look at the background. Background is an expansion of HSL function with inputs 220 calc of var saturation factor, comma 1 times 7 by 7%. Okay. And I think we've looked at this. I think we looked at this last time, because it used to be that some things on Discord didn't have the right colors, and then it was something related to CSS variables. And then we looked at it, but nobody actually worked on it enough to fix it. And it seems like now maybe they use variables from more parts of the site, so it just is much more noticeable. But this is definitely something that we struggled with in the past. So let's see. So I mean, I know we support calc and I know we support var. So let's make let's simplify here. So like, what if I remove the variable here? That still doesn't work. Okay. What if I don't use a variable for this at all in the first place? So what if I was just going to put that down here. So I'll say background like that. No? What if I remove the calc as well? Then it works. Okay, so we choke on the calc. And we choke on the, do we also choke on the var? So what if I say like 7 and then we don't choke on that, okay. So var expansion works here, but it doesn't work there? Wait, does that make sense? Let's try to see here what's going on. Oh, shoot. Wait, what am I even trying to do? What am I trying to do? Let's go backwards. Okay, so this scenario does not work. So what do we want to happen in this case? We wanted to expand the var to this. What does the style sheet actually look like? So we have a function that lets us dump out the style sheet so we can sort of learn what we think the style sheet contains. So we believe to have these two variables. Okay, so we have BG is HSL 220. Actually, I think we can probably get rid of, because they're like they're going to be the same problem because they're the same exact type of situation, right? So we can actually get rid of the foreground thing, and then we'll just rename these to outer and, or no, they're the same thing actually. So thing, we'll just call it thing. And I'll change it to a larger number just for a lighter color, I was going to say. Like, there we go. Maybe that's not the best. Should be something that you can still see. Okay. So if I get rid of the var here, I just say that. That also doesn't work. But that does. Okay. So I think if we just approach this from like, how do I think this should work? And then we'll try to go and make it work. So the way I think it should work is that when we try to resolve this background property here, we try to compute a value for it. Then we want to we want to sort of expand this var here so that it becomes this. And then once we've done that, we want to expand that once again so that this var here is expanded. And then we want to run the calc function, so this becomes a constant. And then we have the computed value for the background. Okay, so let's look at style computer. And I know that it has to, I think that we call them unresolved values. Expand unresolved values. Yeah, so this is calc values and var. Stuff that has calc and var, they are unresolved values because we can't always know at parse time what the final value is going to be, right? It could be context dependent, depending on where you are in the DOM, for example. In those cases, we have to defer actually resolving the values until we're computing style. So that's what expand unresolved values is all about. So let's see what that function does. Actually, first off, who calls it? Okay, so resolve unresolved style value. Unresolved always contains a var or attr. Okay, so it expands var and attr. Unless it is a custom properties value, in which case we shouldn't be trying to produce a different style value from it. Yada, yada, yada. Right, okay, so we don't try to resolve variable declarations, I guess, is what that means. So the algorithm is, or wait, who calls this? This is called when we're cascading the declarations. Okay, sure. So the algorithm is step 1, expand unresolved values. Step 2, parse CSS value from the values we just expand from the values we just expanded, right? And if that works, then we return it. Okay, so we're working with parser primitives here. So we're sort of dealing with tokens. So I guess we've sort of held on to CSS tokens from the parsing stage for these values. So we keep them around in sort of the same state as the parser uses, so that we can then, at style resolution time, we can feed them back into the parser with the added context necessary to fully resolve them, conceptually speaking. So expand and resolve values, fix me, do this better. Okay. Let's try. Okay, so what's going on here? Arbitrary large value chosen to avoid the billion laughs attack. So that's it's just like an infinite expansion guard or whatever, so that you don't uncompress to infinity. Sure. And then dependency nodes, is that for like dependency cycles between variables, maybe? Get dependency node. Detect dependency cycles. Yeah, right. Okay, so what does this thing do? Expand unresolved values. While source has next token, then we get the next token. Okay, so source is the input to this thing. So it's like unexpanded, unresolved value. And source is a token stream. So we like get one token at a time, and they are CSS parser values. All right, so get the next token. If it is a function, then if it is a function called var, I see. Okay, so we just get like, we have to think in like parser primitive types here. So we get like a token, a function token, but the function name is var. And then we expand in that case. So we hit this case, right? And what does expand mean? It means that we create a new token stream called var contents, skip any white space, blah, 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 and then see if we can find an ident token. Has to start with dash dash, right? So this is an ident token starting with dash dash, so that would be good. Check for dependency cycles, presumably by like remembering if we've seen this before. Sure. Okay, and then get custom property. Okay, so then we do a lookup for the custom property name, and custom properties are registered with the DOM element in the current architecture. So basically we just ask the element that we're styling. We'll ask this div like, hey div, do you have a custom property named BG? Which in this case it will have, because everybody has BG, because it applies to the root element and everybody inherits. Sure. So we do have the custom property. Otherwise, we use the provided fallback value. Oh, yeah, right. So this is the fallback value here. So if that's provided, then we use that. So if we had said like 5, right? Then, and instead of BG, we would say BOGO, then, or BOOG, then it would give you 5. That makes sense. Okay. So, and wait, what's going on here? So get custom property. So we get the custom property, which is a string. Or no, what does this thing give us? It gives us a style value. Oh. Custom properties, style values. Okay, all right. Style property, sure. And then we expand. Oh, if it is unresolved. Oh, are these are always unresolved values? Interesting. I don't know if they need to be, but that seems to be how it's designed. So like the variable declarations that you've made here, like this one, this is an unresolved property. So this guy right here, for example. Oops. Where did I go? Did not mean to go there. Okay, and then in order to finally resolve it, we have to also expand it. Okay, but then expand unresolved values. Okay, so this is what we do for var. And then continue. And then for attr, which we don't have here, but that's like attribute substitution. Blah, blah, blah. Return here. Otherwise, okay, so it's some other kind of function. Then we expand recursively the arguments to that thing. Okay. So it seems to me that we only care about var and attr. And we need to care about calc. Maybe that's the missing piece here. We need to care about calc. So let's start by caring about calc. What if we just add, where does that go? Down here, if value function name equals, ignoring case, calc. Okay, let's just print this out. Hello, I have to resolve a calc value now. Like, am I even in the ballpark? And also let me make sure I test with the right thing. Okay, so we want to resolve a calc value. That's a good sign. Because we don't do that yet. And can we print out the value? So what is it exactly? Value to string? Can I get that? To debug string even? Please tell me your secrets. Right. So we need to resolve this because nobody else is going to do it, I guess. Or is it our job? I'm a little bit unsure. Let's see. I guess what we could do is we could look at what comes out of this at the very end, right? So at the end here, resolve unresolved style value. What did we end up passing to the parser? So expanded unresolved values into this token list, right? And then we will dump out the token list that we have constructed. So and that will be value to debug string. Okay, and this is then what we will feed into the CSS parser. Expanded. Okay, so we, oh, okay, wait, hold on. So we expanded to this. All right, and then let's say here, parse succeeded, parsed value to string, or parse failed, right? Okay. So far, so good. Just so we know what we're working with. Okay, parse failed in both cases. So guess, yeah, the parser is going to choke on this because the parser wants stuff like RGBA, HSL, like it just wants to resolve it to a simple color value. So if we were to simplify this thing here so it can actually resolve to a constant, I think it would work. Parse succeeded. Yeah, and then it actually becomes like a color constant, or it becomes a full background value, actually. Let's do this so we don't have to resolve the full background property. Yeah, so in that case, it works. But when there is a calc involved, then it doesn't work. Okay. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is we are going to resolve calc values here. And how do we do that? Parse, we have tokens, so we want to parse a calc value. CSS parser, parse calc value. That would give us one of these things. Is this what we want to do? Maybe this is what we want to do, and then try to resolve it as best we can. Let's see. So how do we get the... Oh, we do this thing. We do to get the tokens inside the function call, we do something like this. Okay, so source function, we'll call it calc function here. And then CSS parser, parse calc. It's not public, maybe. Parse calc. Oh wait, parse calc value is part of the calc parser, so that's not what I want. I really want more like a not an expression. What is it that I want? Parse calc something. Parse calculated value. Maybe that's what I want. What does that do? Looks for a calc expression. Okay, yeah, so this looks like what we want. Parse calculated value, passing in function values. And are you public? Are you? I feel like it's probably not going to be. It's a non-static member function and it's private. Oof. Okay, so is there a helper that can do this for us? Well, there's parse dynamic value. It's not really what I want. Parse CSS value is public, right? Parse CSS value. So let's make a helper here. Parse calc. Something like this. And I don't think we need the property ID. We do need the string view because that's the input. Or wait, no, that's not the type of input I have though. My input is tokens. This is the one that I want. Yes. So I want to do this, parse calc value. And I have tokens, but I don't want to provide a property ID, I think. And then this is the API. Yeah, this is the API that I want to sort of mirror. Okay, so we're going to make a calculated style value. We don't need to provide the property ID. And we just want to pass in. Wait, is it enough to do that, actually? Okay, one thing at a time here. Parse calc value. This is what I want to call. Tokens. You don't like this because the return type is style value. But this thing only ever returns a calculated style value. So that seems like something we could improve here. Parse calculated value. Wonder if this is going to bite me elsewhere. So I guess we'll say calculated here as well, just for consistency. And then this will probably, I thought there was going to be a bigger rebuild from editing the parser. Okay. Okay. No matching member. Because you want a badge. I can pass you a badge. And you want a parsing context. I can make that. What else do you want? Nothing. Cool. So okay, so did I succeed in parsing that then? We'll go on parsed calc value. Oh-wee. Okay. And what is the value actually? As calc value to string, no parse. Okay. A little bit of a cautious approach here because I feel like I don't remember how much of this works. No parse. Have to resolve a calc value, but it didn't parse. Okay, so it didn't parse because, well, I guess because it has a var in it. Because the parser is not going to be able to make a calc value if it has var in it, and we should have expanded that. Wait, why didn't we expand that? Oh, wait. Oh, because it's in the same pass. So we resolve by expanding var, and then we get here, so it becomes this. And then we resolve that by expanding calc, but we haven't yet done the var part here. So we're like trying to parse a calc value that still has a var in it, but we really need to expand the var before doing that. So we need 2 passes, I think. So this guy needs to be split up. Okay, so let's just make a second function. We'll call it like expand variables. Oops. No, not variables values, just variables is fine. Okay. And expand variables is going to be basically the start of this function. So let's see, expand variables. And I think only variables care about the dependency node stuff, because it is not relevant for adders. So expand unresolved values. Yeah, we can leave this one here, but I think we can get rid of, yeah, we don't need to pass dependencies around to this guy. So it doesn't need this function, doesn't need this gunk, doesn't need the var stuff. Okay, it does need adder. Okay. Right. And then how do we call this? So expand unresolved values. Let's get rid of that dependency argument parameter thing. And okay. And for the recursion, when we're expanding variables, we just want to call up to expand variables rather than expand unresolved values. Okay, so here is where the expansion originates. So resolve unresolved style value needs to do 2 passes. So first we expand variables, and then we expand unresolved values. Oh, and then we're going sort of making a vector as the output vector here, which then becomes the input vector to this. So let's see, values with variables expanded, let's say. Now this can probably be done in a nicer way with fewer copies, but we don't have to get too fancy here. So let's see. This can go down here, expanded values. And the input to this part of the algorithm is going to be over this vector. Wait, so can I do this? Unresolved values with variables. Something like that. This is pretty, this is a little bit messy, but it's gonna be okay. Okay. So how does expand variables actually work? So it iterates. So it takes as its input, it has a source token stream and a destination vector. So I think when we encounter a var, then we handle it in whatever way we handle it. But if it's anything else, we need to just let it filter through to the destination vector. Otherwise, we will only get vars. Also, this thing doesn't return at all. So return true at the end, I guess. And we'll, let's see. So if, let's reorganize this a little bit. So if value is not a function, or if the function is not var, then we can do some case, and then this will be our nice path, the happy path here. Okay, so if value is not function, then we can very easily just, this can actually be its own thing, because we just want to forward it to the append value, something like that, right? Yeah, just let it pass through. Continue. But if it's another function, we have to recursively expand any of the arguments to that function, which I'm sure we do somewhere here. I could just yoink. Like, yeah, like here. This is what we would do if it's neither var nor adder previously. We would do dong, 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 dong. So make a token stream over the arguments and then expand them as we go, and then create a new parser function and append that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. This could probably be simpler in various ways. I'm just kind of going by feel here just to get this particular situation working better, where we have a bunch of issues, right? Like, one, we were not doing anything with calc, and the parser will choke if you just give it calc within an HSL or within an RGB or whatever. And we're also not fully expanding all the vars as a separate pass. So that's something we need to do. At least I think this is gonna solve our problem. Because then we should be able to, if we imagine what will happen, it will resolve, it will expand this, which will in turn expand this. And then the second pass, the unresolved values pass, will find the calc, and then we can do something about it because we will have constants inside of it. What do we actually do though? Well, I guess we'll know that when we're here. So here we will have a calc value. What can we get from that? As calculated. I mean, it will already be a calculated. So calc value, resolved type. Okay, so we can find out what we resolve to, which can be angle, frequency, integer, length, number, percentage, or time. Exciting. Okay, so I think, what if we focus on like some specific resolution types here? So we can do like percentages maybe and integers. In this case, it's going to fall back to 1, which is an integer. So if calc value resolves to integer, then, oh, this built, by the way. Parse succeeded. Wait, what? Wait, what am I even looking at? Expanded, wait. Expanded values. So I want to see, like, after the variable expansion, what does it look like? Values with variables expanded. After full expansion. Okay, so after variable expansion, we don't actually have var expanded here, so that's not good. Okay. Oh, because, wait, no. Wait, why doesn't this work? Let's see, expand variables. If it's not a function, blah, blah, blah. If it is a function, but it's not var, do this or that. Okay, and then can we get the name of the var? I guess that comes further down. Custom property name. Expanding var BG. Why are we not expanding this guy though? Expanding var BG. Wait, I would expect to see a second expanding before I try to resolve a calc value. So, what did I mess up with that? Unresolved values. Custom property values. Oh, shoot. I'm calling expand unresolved values here instead of expand variables. That makes sense that would not work. There we go. Right, because I copy pasted it from the logic below. Okay, so after the expansion, blah, 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 then now we have this to work with. And we did parse a calc value. Whee! Cool. So now we have to deal with this calc value. 1 times 80.699996%. Very nice. Whee! Okay. So I guess if it resolves to an integer, then what do we need to produce here? Oh, shoot. We need to produce a frickin'... We need to produce a token. Yeah, dealing with parser primitives here is so messy. I wish we didn't have to do that, but let's not cry about it now and just deal with the situation. So We want to resolve it, I guess. So what happened? Can we just resolve? How do we resolve? Resolve integer. Resolved value. Okay. And then I want to append to the destination vector parser token token, what's the token type? Token type number, maybe? Number. How do I make one of these things? Do you have a constructor? No constructor. Oh, we have this helper here of string. I guess we can make create number or whatever. Token m type number. Number value is number. How do we make a number? Just like that? How do I make a number? Number type and value. Okay, type is number, integer with an explicit sign or integer. This only exists for the nightmarish AN plus B parsing algorithm. Let's not look under that carpet. Okay. So I guess I can just say integer. Create integer. It feels weird to pass in a float to create integer. Actually, number type integer. Oh, I have to pass a float anyway. Okay. And if I wanted to do a percentage, so the number type is shared by number, dimension, and percentage. So probably we could do something like create integer, can make a percentage one as well, right? Something like that. Maybe this should just be number. Yeah, let's leave it like that. Because you could have a fractional component. Okay, so where was I? So I have a resolved value, and then I just want to make a little test append parser token create number. Will it just work? Wouldn't that be cool? If we hit that case, we can continue because we don't need to do fallback expansion. And what if can we do the same for percentage? And create percentage. I assume that it gives me like yeah, I just have to do dot value again because resolving a percentage gives me a percentage object. That's fair. Ugh. Okay, this feels slightly hackish, to be honest, but the factoring isn't that bad. I think I kind of stumbled into an area of the engine here that I'm less familiar with, like the CSS parser, because I worked very little on the CSS parser, and people like Stellar7 and Sam have done way more of that work than I have. So there might be much better ways of achieving what I'm doing here, but I'm sure they will let me know. But I think like the general idea is still sound. Like having a separate pass for expanding vars. That seems sound to me. And then we also need to we need to actually resolve calc values here because we can't carry them with us any longer. Like the style computer, the purpose of the style computer object, which we are in here, is to produce the computed style. So you shouldn't need to worry anymore after this point. Like a color value should be like a final usable color value once it comes out of the style computer. Like you shouldn't need to think more about it after this point. So I think in general, this stuff is heading in the right direction. But let's see if we actually solve the issue. Just have to wait for that little rebuild here because I was messing with the old token.h maybe? Maybe that's the thing that is extensively included, who knows? It seems to be included from a handful of places at least. Anywho. Okay. Wait, are we good now? Is this actually working? And what if I give you the, ooh, look at that. Okay, all right. So that just improved a whole bunch. This is just our saved copy without the background. So let's try the whole page, like Discord, Serenity OS, blah, blah, blah. All right. We are, well, we're back on track, I would say. Like this is a little bit of new breakage, but it looks a lot better, closer. We're where we're supposed to be. Oh my goodness, what's happening? Okay, this is good. Good. Let's see. So now we have a whole bunch of crap here that we have to actually unmess. I certainly made a very, very messy mess out of all this. So first thing is I'm gonna temporarily yoink out the calc stuff and only do a commit which has the variable expansion stuff. So let's see. Yoink me, just a sec. Okay, so here we can probably use a switch. Yeah, we'll get back to this in a sec. Don't need all this debug output, la la la. Sure. Okay, yeah, so the first part here is just to do variable expansion in a separate pass, which is entirely within style computer. Kluk. Do CSS var expansion in a separate pass by expanding all the var values. First, we allow CSS functions to use var. We allow to occur anywhere. Even as arguments to CSS functions. Yes. This makes sense to me. Okay. I'm sure it can be done better and smarter. And if somebody has good ideas for that, then I'm all ears. But we are just trying to make forward progress here. So, okay, so we did successfully parse a calculated value. Then we're going to use a switch. So switch calc value resolved type, which is a calculated style value resolve type. Okay. Integer, let's say. Do I need that whole thing? Yeah, so it goes a little something like this. Percentage. That's a continue. So we go out. Continue makes sense there. Yeah, it does. And then we have the unhandled case, I guess. So if we fail to parse, I mean, it's not necessarily a fix me that we can't parse something, because websites have broken CSS every now and then. Like, not entirely uncommon. So let's see. Maybe we should do something like this. Or actually, no. Then we should pass it through. That's what we should do. So we just leave it alone. Yes. Yeah, this looks a little bit awkward. I've never been a fan of the way that C and C++, they don't let you create variables easily within break or within switch cases. And I understand why, but it just makes for poor ergonomics, and it looks so goofy when you have to introduce braces to get a scope for them. Here, though, we should say something like, fix me. Implement calc expansion for unimplemented calc expansion in style computer. Yeah, because we just need to implement all the different resolvable types here. Make sure that they work right, but I think this is essentially sane, although I'm missing a brace. Where am I missing a brace? There we go. Okay. Okay, all right. Have some layout problems here to deal with, but not right very now. But we seem to be good. Oh yeah, and this guy, text decoration line, has a var in it. That needs to be expanded by somebody. But I'm gonna ignore that right now, even though it's pretty close to what we were just working on. I'm just gonna ignore it and press forward with what we were doing. So now let's add that helper function in CSS token here. and parse calculated value. Add helper functions to create CSS parser tokens. These will be used when resolving calc values in Style Computer. It's indeed strange that calc resolves to tokens, but it's how the engine currently handles those things. There's room for improvement. There is room for improvement. All right, and then the parser API for calculating a style value, or for parsing a calculated value, rather. Web add CSS parser helper for parsing a standalone calc value. And then this guy right here. Teach Style Computer resolve unresolved calc values. Yeah, so if we encounter calc values mixed with, when mixing calc and var, we're forced to wait until style computing, until we were forced to wait or forced to delay resolving them until we're in Style Computer. Previously, we'd just skip over them, which led to lots of, just skip over them. Just skip over them. Dispatch handles calc in the same pass as adder. We parse the calc value with the we reparse the calc value after var expansion, and then try to resolve it to a constant value if possible. If it's not possible, we leave the calc where it is and let layout figure it out, and maybe layout can figure it out later. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a awkward description of what really happens. Note that I've only implemented resolution to integer and percentage in this commit. There are more things a calc could resolve to, and we should implement those as well. Yes, okay. Length. Yeah, there are a bunch of them, and we should figure those out too. But I think today I'm happy enough with what we've achieved here because we have color, which is great. So what does the usual login screen look like, I wonder? Pretty good, actually. Okay, typing doesn't seem to work right. I can't select another thing. Okay, there's work here to do. But we have color, so that's fantastic. And this is going to be the end of today's video. So if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching, for hanging out. I hope that you saw something interesting here today. I'm certainly happy to be back looking at Discord. I think if we keep plugging at this now, then we're in a pretty good position to actually bring it in and start being able to log in and use the service. So that's going to be interesting. But of course, there's going to be many steps ahead. So one thing at a time. But this is fun. So thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.